like you can't, everything that's internally going on with us, like it just manifests out into the world.
Yeah, exactly.
So like if you have negative beliefs in here, if you're kind of, I hate to use the word funk, like it's not funky, but like you're just messed up, you're negative in here, it's gonna just show out in everything else. People can sense that energy. This one life right now that you showed up in the world for right now. And it might sound cliche that you're here right now with everything that's going on in the world, but there is definitely a purpose on your life. There is a reason for your being here.
I would just first like to welcome you to this, the Kovid Panthy Show, which I have started right now. And basically the main objective of this is to empower youths. I think that's what your company does too, right? And basically what I want to do, like for me, basically my passion is to empower youths and let them know about the different opportunities and different things that are there into the market, right? They can just go there, explore all these things. So I would just like to firstly welcome you to this show that I think it's really awesome having you here.
Oh, thank you. It's a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. So just basically starting off, like I already know it personally, but I just like to ask you what are you currently doing, and basically your introduction a little bit.
Yeah, sure. So my name is Ashley Williams. I'm the founder and CEO of a company called Rizzarr. We focus on connecting millennial and Gen Z content creators to brands in order for the brands to use their articles, videos, podcasts, social posts, selfies across their websites and their social media. Yeah. So we're basically a two-sided marketplace that allows media to be used by brands. My background, though, is that I actually used to be a reporter and a journalist for a number of years. Yeah. I used to work at NBC News, a station in Baltimore, and then my last job was with USA Today. Wow. I've always had, thank you, I've always had a passion for creating content ever since I was a young girl. My high school had a television station, and I was so excited about the opportunity to create content for young people because I was going through a lot of different teen issues, and I just didn't want to feel alone, and I felt like this is a great way to share, you know?
Yeah.
So it led me to Rizzarr eventually. Yeah.
That's pretty much it. And I just like I was just seeing your Twitter account, and I just was amazed to see what your contents are. And I just recently browsed your website, the company's website, and it was quite fascinating, the works that you are doing and the content that you are pushing in. It's awesome. Like, I just wanted to know deeper into how you started your company. Like, what is it doing right now, and what was it doing maybe when you were starting out?
Yeah, and thank you so much for your kind words. That's so sweet of you. Yeah. So I mean, when I first started, it was kind of like a kind of a version of like the Huffington Post, because but with the focus on youth and young adults. So my market was really wide because I wanted to do all, and it was like not feasible. So, and then I thought, okay, well, it's like a contributor network. So I had my friends from college and people that I interned with contribute to it. And then they would tell other people, then other people would contact me to contribute to it. And then I was trying to figure out the business model, and I kind of wanted this community element. So we started becoming like a social media platform with the community, but then there was the content. And I was still trying to figure out like doing native advertising, but that really to me wasn't, from looking and doing research with other companies, fully scalable. And as I started researching and talking to investors, they were like, your business model, you really need to really tweak that and really take a look at changing it to be much more scalable. Because I really want Rizzarr to be a large company. So fast forward, I changed it into being a marketplace, two-sided, so that as we worked with brands with creating content, the content creators could also get paid, and then it also just correlated, with being really scalable, hopefully, Emily.
I mean, you just said that I want Rizzarr to be a big company. I think it's already a big company,
it's like there's so much work
already in some position that people are already there, and it's just a journey, right? So like as an entrepreneur, I know like I don't feel like I'm here and it's like top, or I'm here it's like button. No, it's just a journey, right? So
Yes,
yeah,
exactly.
that's great. Like listening to your story of how what your company is doing and all these things. Was your starting like journey, like your personal journey, was also the same? Like, did you start like? Do you say that my personal journey start with my company, or it was already there before your company existed?
Oh, such a good question. I really feel like honestly, it started with the company. I mean, because I feel like so right out of college, my whole goal eventually, because I always wanted to work for network news, so I was ultimately really aspiring to be an anchor for one of the big three media companies, and so I after college I went to work at one of the big networks, and that was very it was a beautiful experience because I was so grateful for the opportunity, but it was also very disheartening to realize like, oh my gosh, like this is not the dream that I was going for.
Because getting the job into those big companies, like big news companies, it's like dream for most of the people, right?
Yes, people are looking at me and I told them like, yeah, they're like, are you crazy? Like you work for the Today Show. Like what is wrong with you? They were just like, but I'm just not happy. And because I really wanted to do more things with reporting, but then I also realized I wanted to be more enterprising of creating more stories around young people. And so whenever I was given a role to be able to kind of make it my own, like with the Griot, for example, I really tried to do all of my stories were really, if you look at them, were all focused on youth and young adults things with that nature. So, but I really feel Rizzarr opened up the door for me to really understand my beliefs about myself, beliefs about what is possible, and to really changed my perspective on perseverance, and what it means to go after a dream and to stick with it, even amidst all the chaos.
You just talked about perseverance, and I personally feel like as a content creator, because I also create contents, these kinds of contents on YouTube and all these things. As a content creator, I think perseverance is really crucial in content creation also, right? Specifically. And I got like into this YouTube and all these videos, video production and all these things. I was already into like from 2014 or something. But at that time, I was not focusing that much. Like I was not putting daily content, or I was not doing that regular content, and I just started putting out regular contents few years back, like I think 1 year back, and it has gone well. Like I'm getting that traction, and I just think like perseverance is really crucial. I just wanted to know what is your opinion on content creation and the effect of perseverance on it.
Yeah, oh my gosh, this is such a good point. I mean, because just in that realm of being a content creator, there is so much work that is like behind the scenes that you're putting in, and then in the work in the process of creating creating the content, and you may not initially see the instant gratification of people reading your posts, of having a large audience, and it's about like having to build it over time. And it's like most people want things, especially like our generation, and I totally get it because I have been one of those people. We want it microwaved, right? We want to like get everything
right now, just now,
and be done, like and like that's not how it works. And you realize too, because of that whole part of the process and the perseverance through it, the minute that it starts to work, I've noticed like things just kind of compound, right? It like, and people just think, oh, it just came out of nowhere. You're like, no, I've been working on this for 5 years. Like, no.
That is awesome. Yeah. I mean, like some people say like it's an overnight success, like looking at the YouTube channel, like it just spikes up, like sometimes it just gets up and people think, oh, you got lucky, right? But there are a lot of things that was going in behind the scenes, right?
Oh, lots of tears, lots of, just horrible crying.
Right. That's good. And did you also feel that kind of moment, like low moments, when you were starting out as a content creator personally? That like for me also, when I was starting out, like used to look at my numbers and I didn't have that much number, like few people, 2 people, 3 people, 5 people, 10 people, right? And when I saw that, I was just getting depressed and like losing my mental momentum and like that. Like right now I have got to understand, but I think there are most of the people who are starting out as a content creator and facing the same issue, right? uh,
Yes.
as a content creation company like Rizzarr is, like how do you deal with this kind of problems that
Mhm.
comes with new creators?
Yeah, I mean, I totally understand that too, because I mean, just the
Yeah,
process, I think, of doing anything, but especially around content, because
yeah,
there's so much noise that it can be very
right,
discouraging,
yeah,
and it just, and you want to just give up. And so what we try to do is try to encourage the content creators, like even with the brands, if they're not
yeah,
selected by brands, it's
hmm,
just to keep pushing out content, because eventually
yeah,
you will get to where you want to be, but there
right,
has to be a consistency
yeah,
and making sure that you become better,
hmm,
and helping them to become better. So we
yeah,
also are working on, in the near future, is like doing things around courses where we can teach the content creators
hmm,
about creating content, and like, just the longevity of what it's like to
yeah,
really be a content
yeah,
creator.
yeah, that
I
would be
think
nice. Yeah,
Thank you. And I think so too, because just so people can understand like the whole elements that go along with
hmm,
it. And I think also sharing more personal stories of content
right,
creators would be
yeah,
really good. Like I
yeah,
would love to share my story, other content creators who are doing well,
yeah,
around, how they started and like those low points. Because
yeah,
I think once people share like that ripple effect of
yeah,
that, you're not like alone in what
right.
it is that you're going through.
Yeah, you just said the ripple of effect, and I have been listening to it because we were trying to invite. If I'm just trying to get back to where we met, like Ashley and I.
Yeah.
Like it
Yeah.
was like I was doing an international conference, and I just wanted Ashley to come as a guest speaker, but because of this coronavirus and pandemic, it was not possible. But nevertheless, like always the main title the was ripple effect of you or on you, right? Something like
Yes.
that.
Yeah.
I just
Exactly.
wanted you to explain like what that is actually, like, and what
Yeah.
that means for a young entrepreneur and youth and content creators.
Yeah, definitely. So, around the time when I was going through my moment in NBC, when I realized that I really wasn't doing what I wanted to do, and kind of like in this moment of a deer in headlights, I was really thinking about this idea around water, and
Right.
how just how we all connect and we all impact each other. And so I started looking at, I mean, it would kind of be kind of weird. My bosses would probably catch me. One of my bosses caught me looking at the screen one time of just like water samples. Me too, working. But I just loved seeing how this one thing could create all these ripples and like just this
Yeah.
impact. And
Yeah.
so the idea of the ripple effect of you is that you are this ripple. You are this being in the world that ultimately can create such momentum and such
Yeah.
positive change and such impact around the lives that you encounter. Like you have no idea. Like I have no
Right.
idea how even this interaction with you
Exactly.
is
Yeah.
going to change your life, how this will change my
Exactly.
life with
Yeah.
you. You know what I mean? So we
Yeah.
all have our own uniqueness. We all
Yeah.
have our own passions. We all have our own
100%. Yeah.
dreams that can make a difference in the world.
Yeah. So a ripple effect, it's like one thing can have a drastic, like adverse side
Yes.
effects and all these things, right?
Yes.
That's
I
great.
mean, I think about even like, for example, I
Yeah.
guess since we're going to be timely with things with the election,
Yeah.
right, in the
Yeah.
United States,
Yeah.
like just this one thing here, this one event, look around, look how,
Exactly.
around the world,
Yeah.
like
The
leadership.
side effect, the ripples are coming to Nepal also, where
Yeah,
I'm living.
exactly.
Like
Exactly. I
just the
mean,
day before, like I am like nothing, like I don't support anything, like I just
yeah,
follow, but I don't support,
yeah.
like I don't know what it is basically. And
Uh-huh.
I was having a discussion with one of my friends here in Nepal
Wow.
about the American election, right? So yes,
Wow.
you're right, the
Wow.
ripples are there, right? And
Yeah.
yeah,
It's amazing.
I mean that's the thing about like the your company sides, right, and all these things. I would just like to dig deep into the entrepreneurship side, because you are an entrepreneur and holding a company that helps people around the world. And
Sure.
how does it feel to have a company that has already reached a certain level of success? And how do you think of like total starting beginner versus beginner you versus the now you? What are the major differences that you see in yourself when you were starting out as an entrepreneur, and like where you are right now?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I feel like it's just been such a humbling experience. Oh my gosh. Like I've never been like, I think if any person needed to become humble, just become an entrepreneur. I mean, it would just,
Yeah.
all the
Right.
way down. So I think, it's humbling, but it is also humbling to me too, just to see our support and like people who believe in what we're doing to get the customers that we are able to get, or like to be able to work with the certain entities or people. I mean, it's all just so surreal to me, because it's amazing to me how you can have an idea in your mind and bring it to life.
Right.
And I think for me, it's been about letting go of a lot of the limiting beliefs that I've placed on myself throughout my life, and kind of just being like an onion and just peeling out all that crap, like that's been just sitting in there, and really reframing myself around my belief system, and also really holding dear to dreams that I have, and not allowing circumstances or things to, if things are taking more time, like I feel like I'm more patient now, and realizing that, it doesn't mean that it won't happen. It just means that sometimes things just take longer. Sometimes we have to do more personal work on ourselves in terms of how we show up in the world, how we engage with our team, how we can become better people. So I feel like the more I start working on myself and like my personal ways that I see myself, the more the company started doing better. I mean, but we still have so much to do. So, but it's been very humbling in that way.
As an entrepreneur, like sometimes people think about entrepreneur like the CEO that the Hollywood shows us, right? Like an entrepreneur working in the office, right? Like having a lot of employees and all these things. Basically, I personally don't agree with that, because it's not what entrepreneurship looks like, like it's not how CEO looks like. It's not like that. Just I wanted to know, like sometimes in a life of an entrepreneur, like there can be procrastinations, right? Because the last time we were shooting our videos, that was in the procrastination sector, and we're trying to say what are the ways to stop procrastination. But like there are lots of ways to stop procrastination in the internet, and I just wanted to know, how do you personally overcome your procrastination if you face those, even in these moments? Like
oh my gosh, it's funny because I had this big project that I needed to do, and I was really like, because it just felt so overwhelming, like this big mountain to climb. Like, where do I start? So what I realized is sometimes it's about just breaking things up into pieces, or most of the time it is breaking it up into pieces. Instead of trying to build the brick wall today, focus on setting one brick at a time, or a couple of bricks, or whatever you can take, and that way it doesn't become so overwhelming. Because I think sometimes it's not that we want to procrastinate, but it's almost like we have a couple of things going on. Either we think we can't do it, it feels too hard, we don't feel adequate enough to even know how to approach it, compared to if we just break it down, and then the things that we don't know, we can turn to someone else to help us with, or we can research it or whatever. So nowadays that's what I find myself doing. And sometimes we also just need a break. I mean, I think at the very beginning of our companies, you're spending hours and hours a day working on the company, and like your mind can only take so much in a day, and it's like our heart wants us to keep going, but the brain is like, I am tired, I have nothing else to give you. So sometimes just taking a break and then coming back to it, and that helps with the getting going.
That's a good idea. Like I think there was one Hollywood movie that was like anime, actually. It was Wizard of Oz, right? There was also something called bricks, right? So you put one brick at a time and reach the destination, right? So I think that's what you said also. Like even when I feel procrastinated, like I personally write all those things that I have to get done and get things done, right? That's the basic thing. And what I've found is, like, I don't know if it is same with you or not, but what I have personally found is when I'm procrastinating, like the thing that happens is, like, either, as you said, like either I don't know what to do, I'm not clear about it, like major thing, right? So I think any youths who are starting out and getting that procrastination thing inside him, like I think he should overcome it by getting into chunk, right?
Yes, I totally agree.
That's great. And here is one question that I got from one of my viewer, and I actually told few of my supporters and followers to give me some questions to ask to our guests, and
Oh,
this was one of the question. And like when he asked me the question, I was also confused, like okay, what to tell the answer about. And this is the question that is discussed in most of the like this digital marketing and online content creation market. Like this
yeah.
talk a lot about it. I think you have
Yeah.
already guessed also. What is good, quality or quantity? What is your opinion?
Quality. Quality. Sorry. Yeah, I already said that quality because I feel like, when you get the quality down, it's just easy to, I mean, it's not necessarily easy to replicate, but you get the systems down to replicate it and it becomes a process. But if you don't have quality, you're just like everybody else. I mean, and I'm not trying to say like everybody else doesn't have quality, but like, let's just be real. Like there's a reason why there's only a 1%, top in the world. And there's other factors that go into it, of course. But a lot of it has to do with how people show up in the world, how they're of quality, what they're putting out in the world. So that's what makes, to me, people outstanding.
So you personally think like quality wins over quantity?
Yes, every time.
Like just a constructive feedback. But what if there is no quantity? Because that's what bothered me at that time when I heard this question. Like, okay, I thought, okay, quality is good, but what if there is no quantity? Because in my YouTube channel, I didn't have any quantity. That's why I think it didn't reach much viewers, right? And then, like, maybe you can like think about it and let us know a little bit.
Yeah, I don't. But yeah, you're right though. I think because with you having, I mean, it's not like you didn't have quality per se, but you were getting better at your craft.
Yeah.
And then you probably saw as you got better, you got more followers, you got more people coming.
That way, yeah. Okay. So it's more like journey, like getting better. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's not about quantity. It's about getting better each time. Right?
Yes.
Yeah. That's great.
And I feel like that's what makes people, and then we're going back to like compounding, the compound effect.
Yeah.
Because as you get better, it just gets, it just quickly catapults.
Yeah, that's great. I just like to get off the topic a little bit because like in entrepreneurship world, we call a lot of time because we don't learn entrepreneurship from just anywhere, right? Like we might need, because we think that degree teaches us, but I don't think degree taught you entrepreneurship, right? Degree didn't taught me entrepreneurship. But what is the thing that teaches us entrepreneurship? What do you think?
I think it really is just starting. I think I wasted a lot of time trying to figure out the business model, trying to talk to people. Like it's like only the market. Like if someone tell me, and it's really like only the market can tell you. I mean, as you practice and you see what customers want, that you figure out what the business model is. But if you never start, then you never do. And I feel like, and it's not. I think there are some, fundamentals that can be taught about entrepreneurship, but most of it is, just doing it.
Yeah. I think starting out is the best way to learn, right? Yeah. That's right. And just because learning came in between, like I just came to thought about mentors. Like, do you have mentors? Like, do you personally have some mentors, or do you like learning from the real world experience more?
Yeah, no, I love to surround myself with mentors. And we have an advisory board with Rizzarr, and I even have my own, like, I'll call them like my life board of members that are like have been with me for a while, or like I've known them for a while, and they've helped me with things or just give me advice. And I think it's just wonderful to have that wisdom, because it's like at least you don't have to make. I mean, not that they've made mistakes, but you don't have to repeat things that they know not to do compared to me just doing
That's what I'm getting right now from you. And it's really awesome to hear your like answers and all these things. Like you said, like you have mentors and like that, but I just wanted to know, like when we are starting out as a youth, like for me personally, I have a couple of mentors, and like we have a lot of fun and like that, right? But I think for starting people, like I don't know, like sometimes I get comments like, how do I get mentor, what do you think, like how can a person like who's starting out, like complete beginning, get mentors to guide them throughout their journey?
Yeah, what I would suggest is, well, one is you could do like two lists. So maybe you have one list of people locally where you are who you would love to have as mentors. But with things changing now, you could take them out for coffee. Treat them to coffee or treat them to lunch, and just say, try to reach out to them via their office or through email and say, I really admire your background. I would love to have the opportunity to connect with you further regarding your life and just learning more about, if you could, share with me like 15 to 30 minutes of your time.
Right.
That is a good way. And also then do it on a larger level. If there are people in the industry, like different industries that you really want to meet with, make a list of those people too. And you'd be surprised about how people are really willing to help people and be like kind-hearted. I think that's a great way to start building a relationship.
That's very true. Like for me also, like I just like to share one of my story, like what happened. Like what I thought was like, I was having a lot of mentor in Nepal and like in the South Asian countries, but I wanted to get some people to guide me throughout my journey in more like big tech companies, like founders of big techs. And I had like Mark Zuckerberg, Bill Gates, and all these people in my list, and I had Warren Buffett also in my list. And I thought, okay, I just got Warren Buffett, and I thought, okay, how can I approach him, right? And I used, because Warren Buffett is like good old people, right, person, and he doesn't like emails and all these things. So I wrote a handwritten mail and sent to him. And
oh my gosh!
Fortunately, I got to get a 10 minutes call with him and got a lot of wisdom. And that was like, oh my God, for me too, like
so
it was awesome.
That's
and I think like when I got started, like when I was writing that, I was not feeling like writing, like I was not feeling like, okay, I don't want to write, but I just forced myself to write. And I think that force was getting the ripple effect, and that was a huge ripple effect, right? And I think like getting mentors, like for me is like approaching, like what do you think?
Yeah, I think so too. And just like just showing up and just trying, because I think the sad part is most people don't try things in life. They already have like an idea of what will happen, when really you never know. It could actually go really well in your favor.
Okay, that's good. Like if I wanted to, like take everything from you, like if God comes and takes everything from you and tells you to start from the complete beginning, but leaves you with your mind and all the knowledge that you have got, what would be your first step?
That's a really good question. I think probably, I'm so big right now on intuition. Like, oh my gosh, like I've just been I think the first step would be to sit down with myself and to listen to what my intuition is telling me to do.
So like kind of finding the path.
Yes, sit with myself. I would and I would get a notebook out and I would think about what it is that my vision, what I want to do. And I would just like allow myself to tell me what I need to do. Like, do this, like just write it out or type it out, whatever, mechanism that you like. Sometimes I like typing, because I think sometimes we just don't take the time to sit with ourselves when we're starting something.
Right.
And I think we're so busy with going. But if first step should be to check in with our creator, ourselves, and say, what is it that I should be doing? Because he knows more than I do,
Absolutely. So young people, just get yourself notebook and pen and start writing what your life purpose is. Like start finding out that first, right?
Yes, exactly.
So I think like that's what I say to my audience also, like find your life purpose first. Like you must know what you are here for, like before getting what you want to do. Because as you personally said also, like your personal journey also, like you were a news reporter in big company, right? Like it's a huge company throughout the world, right? And still you left it, right? You started your own journey. Why?
Exactly.
Because it was not your thing.
Right. No. And for some people, like, and that's why I always try not to now like discourage people from doing certain things, because we all have our own unique paths. And even though something may have not worked for me, it may work very well for you.
Exactly.
And what I've also realized is there's no reason to like shun or feel bad or like, hold negative feelings regarding anything, because there are certain things that I learned at NBC that I only could have learned while I was there.
Yeah.
USA Today, that have now equipped me to do what I'm doing now. So every experience is necessary to get you to your soul mission. And I think every experience helped us to get there, you know?
You're right. Like it's all about experiential journey, you know, like I think entrepreneurship is like a total like experiential journey. Like it's an experiential process. We can't learn it. Like we can't like read it, right?
It's like, you have to do.
Yeah, exactly.
And like I said, it gets you closer and closer to who you are. Like helping you to remember, who am I? Like, why am I here? What is my purpose for being here?
Yeah, you're right. By the way, like I just remembered this. I don't know if you have remembered this, but Gary Vaynerchuk follows you on Twitter, right?
Oh yeah.
Like that was like when I was checking out your Twitter, it was like, huh, Gary Vaynerchuk? Okay, that was awesome. Just I wanted to add it to you.
That was funny to me too. Like, really?
Yeah. When you got that notification, like, was Gary V already popular or?
I think so, yeah. Because I think that was like when I was first starting Rizzarr or something, and I think he already was, yeah.
Okay, that's great. Like, just wanted to add that because I noticed that. Yeah. Okay. So, like, because like as a content creator, personally, for me, like getting that ideas, you know, like ideation things is the most hard, I think, like the most difficult process in whole content creation process. It's not video editing, it's not video capturing, it's not persuasion, all these things, but I think it was getting the first strike of idea, you know, like once we have the idea, we have all the team to process it, right? But the main thing is we don't have team to, you know, get that ideation, because even if we have 10 people like thinking about ideas, like it always lacks, you know, like ideas always lacks. And I think this is the problem with most of the content creators throughout the world. I just wanted to know, because you are owner of a company that is helping brands create more contents, like I just wanted to know how do you have any kinds of strategy to find like new ideas for new contents or whatever?
Yeah, you know, I think sometimes people are really so it's like we have our own, like how you're talking about, you have your ideas, and then you want a team to execute or help you with the ideas, or you feel like you need help, or it also could be that we look too much around us for what other people are doing instead of taking
inspiration.
Yes, like we already have our own internal compass, I think. And again, it just kind of goes back to, or it does go back to, sitting with ourselves and really tuning into our own inner voice of what we should be doing. Because sometimes I think it's just too much noise, and when we get caught up in the noise, we don't find our own inner truths and our own inner voice, and so we then end up doing the same thing that someone else did that looks the same way. And it's like, you know, compared to if you would just sit and, you know, focus on what it is that you really feel like you should be doing, then you do it, and then you get the results that you never thought you would get because you trusted your So I think it's just more trusting the intuition more, and I think so many people are not doing that. But luckily and fortunately and unfortunately, because of COVID, it's caused a lot of people to really sit back and to really think about, you know, what is they're doing, what they're putting out in the world, and to really reflect more. So I'm hoping the conscientiousness will continue.
Yeah, I think like after this pandemic, you know, like I've been seeing all these things. Like when this was getting started, like people were too much in the crowd and noise and all these things that was just bothering ourselves, you know, like at least people have got some time to think about themselves and think about that. Like I've got few of my students who are like having, you know, like clarity after this pandemic, because they had time to rewind about what their decisions were and just correct them, right?
Yes. Oh, that's so beautiful. Exactly.
Yeah, that's very true. Like, but I just wanted to know, like, because we talk about like in entrepreneurship world, we talk about motivation a little bit more, you know, like you must have that passion, you must have that motivation to do work. Like I see a lot of the motivational content on YouTube, like I see all of them in my homepage, but what I think is like sometimes these kinds of videos are maybe just short term or something like that. I just wanted to know your, you know, like your own opinion on motivation and this motivational content out there in the like content distribution networks and like YouTube and all those things, and versus how you personally get your motivation? Like, what is the source of your motivation?
Yeah, I think it has to come from within, you know. I mean, because at the end of the day, you can only have so much like supply, or I should say supply, or support on those motivational videos and dependency on the motivational videos. Because I mean, there's only so many out there. Many of them are the same thing, or like, you know, similar messages. And they're like, I remember when I was first working on Rizzarr, and I love them, don't get me wrong, because they are helpful. But it has this like combination of the same messages over and over and over again. And it's like, okay, I heard that remark before. Like, how much can you take, you know? So I do think it is this internal drive that one has to be an entrepreneur, because there's no one pushing you. There's no one who's more willing to go after your dream than you are. So you have to be the person who really has that gumption to say, I'm going to make it happen. I'm going to figure out how to make it happen. I'm going to do what it takes to make it happen. Because I mean, everybody else has their own dreams that they're trying to go after. So they're not going to be really concerned about your dream. No offense, you know.
I mean, that's really true. Like, I think like getting yourself from the motivation from within is always long lasting, and it always lasts long, because like sometimes people might think like the motivation to do something is money, right? So let's take example, right? Like the motivation for me to start a business maybe is money. Then I think that won't be long term, you know, like once I have the money, the motivation may get down, you know. And in content creation, I think it's really important to have the driven nature, because it takes a lot of time, you know, like and if we don't have that long lasting motivation, I don't think like people can last long, because I personally didn't last long when I got started, you know, like I was there to make followers, make money, right? And I just got miserably down, you know, like
burnt out.
I mean, like I was a failed person, you know, like at that time, because I had the short-term motivation, and that didn't go much long, right?
Right, exactly. And I think because the sacrifice doesn't outweigh your why, so it's so important to understand what your ultimate why is. I mean, and it could just be also even in other scenarios, not even entrepreneurship, but career-wise. I'm thinking about, you know, my various opportunities that I had, but my why has always been to help youth and young adults and with content creation. And when I look at those opportunities, when I realized it wasn't helping me to get there, then it was just kind of like I lost my drive for wanting to be there, you know. So it's like time to go to another opportunity.
So like, what would be like if you define yourself as a Ashley, and like when you see Ashley in maybe 10 years or something, what do you see that, and how do you see Rizzarr in 10 years? Like what is the you know, like what is the like vision that you have?
Yeah, I think so. Kind of like going with our mission, our goal is to connect all of the young adults around the world, like content creators, to empower them and to inspire them. So I would love for us to be we already have content creators all over the world, but even more of a presence across universities and colleges and just cities, where we're really amplifying the voices of young people and helping the brands in those areas, those regions, cities, to be able to connect with them and to work with them, but not just in the sense of working with them just to create content for content's sake, creating meaningful content that then allows it to be driven into our society. So the constructive dialogue is really fostering change in our world. So we're really trying to inspire the next generation of not just content creators, but like thought leaders, you know, leaders who are going to emerge in our world. And so for me, that would be, you know, my ultimate dream is to have that type of impact and to be able to change lives and to be able to give young people, you know, job opportunities, especially those who want to go into marketing and journalism long term. And I think personally, I just really want to be able to, God willing, with Rizzarr, becoming successful, mentor other aspiring entrepreneurs, and maybe even becoming an investor in some point too.
Okay, so you have like long term, you know, like business kind of thinking.
Yes,
that's great. So I think like any kinds of starting entrepreneur, like what would be your, you know, like the one tip for an starting entrepreneur? Like, let's not only say entrepreneur, it can be like content creator, it can be journalist, or who's starting out, it can be just a youth, you know, like who doesn't know what he has to do. But when they are starting out, what would be your one tip for them?
Trust your intuition. And I know I'm not repeating that like on every interview now, but I mean, because it is honestly the golden tool. It's the voice that we each have inside of us that is like directing us to where we should be, what we should doing. It's the voice that will tell you to work with this person or don't work with that person. It's the voice that will tell you to pursue that idea, don't pursue that idea. You know, it's the action step voice to tell you what steps to take. And I think we take it so for granted. And I wish I would have realized the power of our intuition more when I started, because I think it would have saved me a lot of time and sadness at times, or like just not going as I had intended, because all the warning signs were there. But I just thought, oh, well.
So you just neglect that,
Yeah, you know, it looks great on paper, or the resume looks good, or blah, blah, whatever the scenario would be, when really it was like, you know, horrible.
Yeah, that's true. Like intuition can give you like a lot of powerful insights, you know, like what is going to happen. I mean, not only what is going to happen, but what you are going to face, you know, like it's like time travel of inside, you know.
Yes, exactly. And your uniqueness, because I think so many times as individuals, and it's sad, but we take our own uniqueness so lightly, you know, the gifts and traits that you have, or the gifts and traits that I have, like we kind of take ourselves, I think, sometimes for granted in that sense of why, like, all that we can offer to the world, when really there's no one who's ever been like you and who can do what you do and talk like you do and do the things you like. It's all unique to you. And I think we think other people can replicate that or somehow, or like we're not unique, but the reality is that uniqueness is what's helping us to do what we do and fulfill our soul purpose, you know?
So that's great. Like I just wanted to get a little bit outside the topic. Like we're talking about entrepreneurship and all these things, but like for a starter, like if we're talking about a starter, like when I was getting started, like the thing that happens to most of the starters, I think, like when they are young, I think that would be like lack of resources, like connections, resources. Let's just call it resources. Like how do you think, like if the person does not have any resources, like it could be money, it could be connections, it could be time, it could be anything, right? What do you think, like, can a person do if he doesn't have resources to get started? Just give an example, like when a person gets started with video creation, video productions and all these things, he might not have the proper equipment, you know, like he might not even have a mobile, right? I mean, he might not have a high-end cameras and high-end PC to like develop all those things. What can he do?
Yes. Oh my gosh. And this is like, I totally
like
understand.
even for me, like when I was getting started, like I didn't have that resources, you know, like no connections. Like to start from total beginning zero is always hard, but I think taking that one step is the thing, right? But what do you think, like how can the person get to have more resources?
I totally agree, because it's not like coming from the journalism world, I had any idea what entrepreneurship was, let alone any, you know, connections here. Because I mean, it was really like, I totally get it, that because I was basically in the same way with, I had the skill set to, you know, in terms of content creation, being trained, but in terms of other things, like it's not like I had, you know, thousands of dollars sitting in my bank account to be able to start a company or like to do what I needed to do. So I think the main thing is for people to really think about not focusing on the lack, but focusing on what they can do. So for example, when I knew I wanted to start my company and I was still working as a journalist, but I wanted to make sure that I had extra funds. I mean, I took even like a side job to be able to have extra money to put towards the company. And it was like, you know, not a lot of time, like on the weekend or that sort of thing, but I was willing to sacrifice to be able to really work on my company or doing extra things, getting, you know, a person could get side gigs or things like that to be able to put towards the company. Basically figuring out what skills and traits that you can use in order to, one, learn, like get those experiences to learn and to network with people. So even if that means, for example, you may not get paid in a particular opportunity, but if it's an opportunity to network with people and to get exposure to other people, do it, because it could lead to something else. And I think sometimes people aren't willing, they always want to get paid, which I totally understand because we all have bills to pay.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you could also, you never know how doing one thing can lead to so many other open doors from your connecting with someone who's going to give you more opportunities.
Exactly.
So it's really weighing out, is this connection going to be more fruitful later on compared to what you want to do?
Yeah.
And then for the other opportunities with making money, just try as you can, legally wise, to make money towards the company, to put towards it. I mean, even taking odd jobs, whatever, like entrepreneurship, when you look at the bios of most entrepreneurs, ones who didn't have like a fat bank account, they all started by, figuring out what they could scrape together and do in order to make more. And that's how it starts. But it builds the character that you need so that you can withstand building a bigger company, and that you can withstand being a leader. You can withstand all these things that you're going to face, because if you're not willing to sacrifice in the small, then who says you deserve to be, higher? Because you can't even, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah. That's really true. Like, I think a person who's getting started, I think the thing is, like, he has to get started. He has to find basically ways to do his right. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's cool.
And I feel like so many people have excuses. Like, there are tons of reasons to have an excuse. I mean, we could put it on politics. I mean, I don't know. Like, there's always a reason to have an excuse, but the person who really wants it will find a way. It's not who's going to let me, it's who's going to stop me.
Yeah. I mean, like, if we talk about, like, if we see the autobiography and biographies of like top-class, world-class leaders, like, I mean, like, let's talk about Warren Buffett. He also started out from 11 years old buying stocks, right? I mean, selling the Coke, right? I mean, that might be hard, like getting started,
Right. I mean, or look at I think about, there's this documentary that I love here in America, like, and I'm sure you can probably find online too. It's called The Men Who Built America. And it focuses on basically taking the lives of like Rockefeller and like Carnegie and all these, like JP Morgan is an exception because he came from wealth. But let's just say like, or Vanderbilt, people who had no entrepreneurship background. They didn't have Google. They barely probably had books. They had they were impoverished, didn't have education. So like, what excuse do we have? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
They all used their intuition, and they all were willing to work hard.
Yeah, 100%. Like I think, like, for us, like, the people that are here right now, like in these moments, are I think the most luckiest people in the throughout the history of humanity, right? I mean, they have the access to all the technological parts of the things, and they have the access to free information mainly, right? Because at the time, like, they have to pay for the information, they have to hire mentors and hire coaches and buy books and all these things. But now it's all on internet, right?
I mean, if you want to learn how you want to learn how Warren Buffett thinks, go buy his book.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you don't need Warren Buffett to teach you how he thinks, that's true. Like, it's all there in the internet. It's just to find what you love and find the things that are there. Like, as you said, like, it's not about no resource, it's about resourcefulness, like finding the right resource at the right time.
Exactly.
So I think, I think we can now get to the end a little bit, and I just wanted to ask a few last questions to you, because when we talk about entrepreneurship a little bit, like in this pandemic time, mostly because we are more into our homes and shut down and all these things, what could be one productive thing that a young starter can do? Because we're talking about young starter, and the audience that is hearing to this podcast and this show is mostly young people. I just wanted to know, what would be the thing that you think personally that a young starter or any kinds of starter can do to enhance their productiveness? Because now most of the people don't have work, and they start taking this as an excuse of not doing something, like, I think there are lots of opportunities, but most of the people think that there are no opportunities and they are shut down and like that. What would be the best way to make their time more productive and all these things? What do you think?
Yeah, a couple of things come to mind. One is to make a list of like different business ideas or things that they would want to pursue. Actually, and even going back to like the heart of like being childlike, thinking about what are the dreams that they have, what are things that they want to do, in their life and really getting inspired again. And then from there, if they want to pursue a business, thinking about different ideas, maybe making another list that's around business ideas and doing more research around the business idea. Then from there, I would say listening to different podcasts like yours, or even another one I really like is How I Built This, which focuses on the journeys of entrepreneurs, like getting really into the nitty gritty, like things that I haven't read about anywhere else. That it goes into the heart of like the entrepreneur's journey, like famous entrepreneurs. And I love hearing their stories about how they started, because it inspires me to know like everybody has hard moments. Everybody is not easy at all for anybody, you know. And I think it would be really inspiring for them. And then I also think making a list of different entrepreneurial books, like usually like entrepreneur.com or Inc. They have lists of different books to read. They can get them on Audible, and just, if they don't like to read, listen to them. As they're working on what they want to do, listen to things to be inspired and to get ideas, and also reach out to people. So say if they want to meet with someone to get more insight, schedule meetings, get busy, like, you know, make time to have time with people so that you can learn, you can like carve your path.
That's really true. Like I think in this pandemic time, I think people must do these kind of things to get themselves a little bit pushed from their comfort zone, right? I mean, that's the best way that they can do. And like the last question that I want to ask you is like, when you say that like you're an entrepreneur, like sometimes the arrogance, you know, the arrogance part and all these things, because I personally feel it, that's why I'm saying, because like humbleness and arrogance, I think they come both combined, you know, like when we say like, especially when we get a little bit of success and get to introduce yourself as an entrepreneur, get something out there in the world, you get both humbleness and arrogance. Like for some people, arrogance could be higher. For some people, humbleness could be higher. How do you think, like for you personally, like how do you balance these two? Because we need arrogance also a little bit, and we need humbleness also. Like how do you balance these two?
I think because this has been such a hard journey overall. I just feel like it's been very painful. We're at the point of just feeling full of humbleness for everything, you know, because it just felt, I just feel like I'm grateful for God allowing it to be as hard as it has been with starting the company, because it's really grounded me to not take things for granted and to not get conceited, because things can change overnight. And you know, and so I feel like there is, like you said, there is a sense of having to be a sense of confidence, because you know, customers want to know like you can do, you know, you're confident, like your team is a confident leader. But it's also being empathetic and being willing to listen and to be molded, like, you know, having mentors and advisors who I can listen to and not say like I know it all, but to have this. So it's kind of like you're strong, but you're moldable. And I think you know, I try to keep myself grounded by surrounding myself with like friends and family who've known me for a while, who can tell me like when I'm, you know, being touche in the air, and tell me and also help me to get my confidence back. So I just think it's just staying grounded. I'm very funny. I love cracking jokes, and I love being down to earth, and I think that's super important.
I can feel it when I'm conversing with you, and I could feel that. And like just sorry for that, but I said that it was last question, but yes, few questions arose into my mind already. One thing is like, do you believe like more into spirituality, or how has spirituality helped you in your business life? Because sometimes people, like, there is misinformation in the internet, because I have seen a lot of them, that people say that spirituality is different thing, and business and entrepreneurship and money management, all these things are different thing. So how do you see these two things? Like, do you see these two as two different things as the internet and misinformation says, or do you think these two are the same thing?
Oh my gosh, 100%. They're combined. Definitely, in my opinion, because to me, like, you can't, everything that's internally going on with us, like it just manifests out into the world.
Exactly.
So you know, like if you have negative beliefs in here, if you're kind of, I hate to use the word funk, like it's not funky, but like you're just messed up, you're negative in here, it's going to just show out in everything else. People can sense that energy.
Exactly.
You know, so I'm very big into spirituality. That's why I always am talking about intuition and like, you know, because I think when you get yourself together internally, your limiting beliefs, like what your thought patterns are, your habits, like why you do what you do, why you think the way you think, then you can change your life. Like you can change how you show up in the world, how you engage with people, how you support people, how you manage your business, how you manage money, how you manage the team. Like it all just flows. And so to me, when you have a disconnect here where you're not really centered and healed internally, it just keeps going out negative.
It's like messed up, you know, like it's not organized.
Exactly.
And like I always like to, you know, think about gratitude a little bit because at last it all comes down to gratitude, you know, like spirituality. I think the main thing that we can do right here about spirituality is the first thing that we could do is any person can do, like even he is, you know, like dumb, if he is idiot, or if he doesn't have anything, he could at least be, you know, gratify all these things that he has in his life. Like how do you like, do you have any kinds of gratitude practice that you do in a daily basis, or do you just like pay attention to all these things that you have, or do you have any kinds of structure that you have in your daily life?
So I haven't done this in a couple of months, but I was at a certain point, like I would have like a stone that I would leave by my like nightstand, and every night I would go through like in my head things that I was grateful for during the day. And it was but it was nice though, because I couldn't find one thing that I was like super grateful for per se, but it had to be go through like everything.
Every little things that happens, right? And we just sometimes, you know, miss those things.
Exactly. You know, and even in the moment, like I catch myself like this morning, because I was up late and I was like trying to get ready for meetings and stuff like that, and I was going into like a negative tone. I was like, wait a minute, we're alive today. Like we woke up today, the sun is shining today, and then I was like, oh wait, let me say. So then I went to God. I was like, God, thank you so much for waking me up today for another day. You know, so it's kind of like I had to check in with myself, and during the day, I'm constantly saying thank you. So it's kind of funny. Like if you're anyone who's around me, I talk out loud to myself, which is kind of weird. But it's not weird, but it's just my thing. But I'll just be like, hey, thank you so much, God. Thank you, God. Yes, thank you. So I'm always about gratitude.
I mean, it just energizes us, you know, like
it does.
Just puts all these things.
Yes, and it causes more momentum to me, because I notice like the more gratitude I am, the more things come to me. You know, it's just
like I don't know, like is it miracle, or I don't know. For me personally, like when I am gratifying all those things that I have in my life, like more things automatically come to me. I don't know what's the science behind it, but it automatically comes, and I accept that, right? So I don't know if it is same with you also.
Same with me, totally. And I just think it's almost like God saying, "Oh, you're so grateful even for the small things.
Take it." Right. That's really awesome. Like I have heard a lot of stories that happens. Like also with you. There are many other people who say these things that happens, like when you are gratified and all these things, like more things comes. I think like for me personally, I think it all comes down to positivity, you know, like it always gives us positive vibe and lets us to do more for what we are seeking for, like what our seeking desire is, you know.
I totally agree, because like it makes your energy more positive, and then I feel like it allows you to attract other people to you who are positive and more experiences that are positive, because you have that like essence, you know.
Yeah, exactly, 100%. And like taking that gratitude feeling right now, like I just wanted to like express the gratitude to you for being in my, you know, like small soul that we are starting out. Like I think pretty soon we'll be getting out this. And I just wanted to thank you for spending 1 hour, or I think, it's just 1 hour, 1 hour time with the Kovid Panthy Show. And like, it is awesome to hear what you have done and all the insights that you have shared. And I think like the things that you have shared will empower and will help more people, like your Rizzarr company is doing and all these things. Like I think all the things that you shared was like to the point, and it was like, like so useful for me personally also. Like it was so useful, and I have some notes here, so I would be going back to this once again, so so that like I have the points that I can take off, and I think the audience that is watching right now should also take some points and just execute. Like I think most of the times we listen to podcasts and just live it, right? And I think we must execute, right? Like take the knowledge that we have shared and take the insights and utilize on your life. Like as Ashley also said prior, like if one thing works for me doesn't mean that it will work for you, and vice versa.
Exactly. Exactly. Everybody has their own resonance and what works for them.
Exactly.
I just want to tell you, thank you so much for having me. It was such a pleasure, and I'm so humbled to be your first guest, and that you thought of
Thanks
me.
a lot.
It's so kind of you, and I'm just so excited for what's to come on the platform.
Yes, thank you, Ashley. And I just want you to give a last word to the audience. Like, just last word to the audience watching this, like this show that they are watching. What would you say to them, like to the audience that is watching right now? The last
I want to
word.
say, I want to say you only have this one life right now that you showed up in the world for right now. And it might sound cliche that, you're here right now with everything that's going on in the world, but there is definitely a purpose on your life. There is a reason for your being here. And there's only a mission that you can fulfill. No one else can. And you're here to do just that. And so if you can have the willingness and the gumption and the belief in yourself to do what it is that you came here to do, regardless of the circumstances, regardless of your age, regardless of all the other things that you can see as being obstacles, they can become a catalyst for you to change the world and for you to change the lives of the people around you, because you never know how what you will do will affect the lives around you and generations to come. Don't take that for granted, and do not take the life that you have here for granted, because we need you. The world needs you now more than ever, the ripple effect of you.
Yeah, that's what I believe also, like 100%. I totally agree with you. And any last words that you want to give it to me personally, like what do you want to say, the last words that you want to say to Kovid Panthy right now?
Yes, I want to tell you, keep shining your light. It is so bright and it is so wonderful. And we need more people just like you in the world who are going after their dreams, who are impacting people, who are showing up, and who are having that perseverance to do what it is that you have in your heart to do. And I congratulate you. I commend you for your efforts and your tenacity and your willingness. And know that it will all pay off. It will all work out. And everything that you set in your mind to do, you will achieve.
Thank you so much, Ashley.